Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the 2014 Aston Martin Vantage. I've reviewed an earlier model Vantage once before on the channel, but drove it on a really tight and technical road where the car wasn't really able to stretch its legs. Well, that's going to change here today because we're on a gorgeous stretch of road here in Pittsboro, North Carolina, and the owner, Steven, has been nice enough to give me a go in this 2014 Vantage. So we're powered by a 4.7 liter naturally aspirated V8, making 430 horsepower, but Steven has thrown on an exhaust and a tune, which is supposedly bringing up that number to 400 at the wheels. This car weighs around 3,500 pounds. We have double wishbone suspension, 6-speed manual transmission, hydraulic power steering, and first impressions of the interior, very nice, but there are a few touch points that just feel quite dated. Piano black plastic along this section here. Not a very intuitively laid out interior if you're not used to Aston Martins. Oh yes. Gotta love a naturally aspirated V8. We'll put it into sport mode. One thing I always found interesting and quirky about these Astons, well, one of many things, is the fact that the tachometer is in the other direction. It starts at the bottom and it goes counterclockwise as you increase the engine RPM. First impressions just driving around, I feel like I'm just so cocooned in this car. The visibility is a little bit limited if I'm being honest. Out the front even, it's hard to see the hood. Granted, I do have the seat fairly low, but the dash is really quite expansive here in front of you. It feels like you're very far away from the front of the car. And this is supposed to be Aston's small, lightweight, nimble sports car. Can't even imagine what the Vanquish feels like. But this car does weigh 3,500 pounds, which for something with a V8 engine, still designed to be a grand touring sports car, that's relatively lightweight. That's only a little bit heavier than an E46 M3. Down into third gear. Wow, very immediate throttle response. What a sound. That induction note is just intoxicating. This sounds better than an E39 M5 engine. Just such a metallic growl at the top end. Not used to that reverse tack. I'm more just shifting based on the sound of the engine. Good thing we can hear it so clearly. Wow. The suspension feels really well dialed in actually. It's firm, but not overly firm. It's not bouncy or unsettled in these high-speed corners. Heel toe is a real challenge with this thing because my right foot doesn't have much space to work with on the right side where that throttle pedal is. Wow! Are you kidding me? This engine is way better than I remember it being the first time I drove a V8 Vantage. Because this time we can actually let it stretch its legs and rev out to over 7,000 RPM. Also, the gearing doesn't feel overly long. It feels well matched to this power level. Good brake feel. There's a lot of initial bite. It really does feel like a sports car. The manual transmission, it's not amazing by any means, but it's very easy to use. The throws are a little bit longer than you might hope for. But it slots into each gate very positively. What a car. I am thoroughly impressed. This is the type of road the Vantage excels at, where it can really just stretch the engine all the way up to its red line. The throttle response is superb. Immediate response when you touch that throttle pedal, but it's not overly sensitive. It's still easy to rev match the downshifts. this steering, let's talk about the steering for a second. Hydraulically assisted, good weighting, very little slop on center, and it feels talkative and precise. Exactly what you'd expect, I suppose, from a British-built sports car, known for their good steering. Lotus, Aston, McLaren even. Oh, that is addicting. This car's phenomenal. So good, so good. I just hopped out of an E39 M5 with a few mods. They're very different classes of cars, I get that, and they're about 11 years or 12 years separated. But this V8 Vantage actually, it has a lot of the great qualities that the E39 M5 is known for. The excellent steering feel, the easy to use manual transmission, the V8 engine naturally aspirated that not only has a decent amount of low-end and mid-range torque, but also loves to rev out, and the supple suspension as well. In a lot of ways, this V8 Vantage does kind of feel like a smaller, lighter, more nimble E39 M5. I know that sounds crazy, but just because the E39 is so fresh in my memory, I'm really seeing a lot of similarities between the two. This engine's throttle response is so much sharper than the E39's. That's where this car really just is in a league of its own. The suspension's so good. It's so supple while still offering a lot of control. With this car. I truly am. I didn't expect to be this enamored with it because I was frankly a little disappointed the first time I drove one, but this is phenomenal. This car is so well suited to this type of road. Third gear and fourth gear corners versus second gear. That's where this car shines. That's where you can really appreciate the steering feel, the high-speed balance, enjoy rowing through the gears. I mean, I am in heaven right now. And this exhaust really helps this engine sing, doesn't it? When you shift up to fifth, sixth gear, get the RPMs below around 3,000, and it's nice and quiet, it's serene. It has that dual personality to it, that breadth of ability. That's what the V8 Vantage is so good at out of the box. It truly is a GT car in the best sense of the word. You really could drive this every single day. Now, reliability issues aside, and I'm not going to delve into that because, well, I'm not an expert, but I have heard some horror stories. Let's put it that way. It is something else. It is an experience. Now, I haven't looked at prices of the V8 Vantage recently, but last time I checked a couple years back, you could pick these up for just under $50,000. And I think for that price, again, reliability and maintenance aside, there might not be a more desirable car in terms of an all-around package, something you can drive every single day in comfort, look like an absolute badass. We haven't even talked about the exterior design yet, but this is one of the most beautiful cars at any price, let alone sub $50,000. And this color, called Lightning Silver, it is gorgeous. It changes shades depending on the lighting, and it suits the specialness of this car just so well. Loves to rotate on throttle also. What's there not to love about the V8 Vantage? It doesn't need a single more horsepower. With the exhaust and tune, this 4.7 liter V8, it actually does feel like it's making close to 400 wheel horsepower, given that this is a 3,500 pound car. The straight line acceleration is more than adequate. but it also lets you wind it out at reasonable speeds. It's not overpowered by any means. It really just is so well balanced in every sense of the term. From a driving dynamic standpoint, I really can't fault this car. There are no weaknesses. It really just is that good to drive. And I'm shocked to be saying that. I did not have super high hopes going into this review. Oh, wow. I would love to get some more Aston Martins on my channel. The V8 Vantage is the only Aston I've ever driven and reviewed. Now I'm so curious what the Vanquish, the DB9, and other models feel like. So big shout out to Steven for letting me review his Aston Martin. Let me know what you think about this car. Is it still a deal in the current market? Let's assume for a moment you can still pick these up for $50,000. Is it worth the potential reliability issues? Or are there better options out there for the same price or less that still have this breadth of ability and are this beautiful to look at while offering more reliability? If that car exists, please let me know. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.